Hello everyone, my name is Karina. I go by Kartzy on social media, and today's video is the third video of the Kyoshi Warrior cosplay series, all about the Keikogi. I am very awful at pronunciation, so I am sorry if I butcher anything. When I first began my research for the Kyoshi Warrior cosplay, the first difficulty I ran into was what Asian cultures inspired the Kyoshi Warrior uniform. I knew I was not making a historically accurate dress because of limited resources and a number of different things, including that I am not certified in the traditional dress of Japanese clothing. So my aim was to get close to it with the understanding of my limitations. But what cultures inspired the Kyoshi Warrior uniform? So I lean mostly towards Japanese dress, and I have my reasoning for this. Out of all the characters in Avatar, I believe that the Kyoshi Warriors take the most from Japanese dress and martial art dress. But besides the clothing, I want to introduce you to a couple similarities, history-wise and geography-wise, of why I think Kyoshi Warrior is loosely based off also Japan. Both places are an island. The Kyoshi Warriors live on an island founded by Avatar Kyoshi, but this island is interesting because it was separated from mainland and Earth Kingdom by Avatar Kyoshi, and so it becomes its own place. And one thing that's interesting is that during the 100-Year War, the Kyoshi Island is pretty much untouched by the war, and I see this almost similar to how Japan practiced isolationism from the Western world for a period of time, and so that's where I see the parallelism geography-wise and also in history. So the Kyoshi Warriors' weapons include iron fans and katanas, which are both Japanese weapons in history. There's actually a martial art all about iron fan technique called, and I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Tensenjutsu. I have the word right here. Then there's also the makeup of the Kyoshi Warriors, which you can tell is inspired in some way by Japan because of geisha makeup. There's also Meiko and Kabuki. And then there's also, you can argue that it also takes from Chinese opera. But probably what I find the most interesting is that the Kyoshi Warrior uniform mostly resembles that of the Kendo uniform. Kendo is a Japanese martial art, and as you can see, it is very similar to the Kyoshi Warrior uniform, which makes me think more about how much martial art dress influences Avatar rather than just historical dress. So the Kendo uniform is what I imagine the Kyoshi Warriors would be wearing, except instead of their Keikogi being about over here in length, I believe their Keikogi would be over to about their wrist, so that their silk kimono wouldn't touch the skin, and so they wouldn't have to wash it as often. So for the Kyoshi Warrior cosplay, I'll be taking inspiration from samurai dress, and also these three Japanese martial arts, Kudo, Kendo, and Tensenjutsu. Again, I am sorry for my pronunciation. All three of these uniforms consist of a Keikogi and the pant version of the Hakama, and I'll go into the Hakama in a later video. But for now, let's go into the building of my Keikogi. For this garment, I am using a white floral print cotton, and because this pattern is a little bit see-through, I'm going to go ahead and add a lining to this garment.
What? He legit wants to be on my lap, but I'm standing and I am working. He can't physically be on my lap if I'm standing.
That moment when you thought you had enough for a lining, but in reality, the leftover material you thought was for the lining actually was for the sleeves, because you forgot that sleeves existed. Well, I gotta buy more fabric now. So for the first part of this project, I'm following along with a McCall's pattern, and I mainly bought this pattern so I can get a basic visual idea of how big and what shapes are all my pieces. Later on, I end up regretting using it a little bit because of all the alterations I had to end up making to the pattern. So first, I start working on the back panels, and I have 4 pieces cut out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sew this center back seam together. And I'm gonna do this for both pieces. I go ahead and stack them on top of each other and sew that seam allowance down together. Afterwards, I do a little bit of maneuvering the fabric around to get it flat. And once it's flat, you can see that I have a nice pretty seam with the lining material connecting to the outside fabric. So the McCall's pattern calls pattern number 2 a tie, but this is actually called a hemo. And to create the hemo, I take a rectangular piece of material, fold it in half with an iron, create a tube, turn it inside out, and then close off the edges. For the rest of the panels of the garment, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch them together so that the lining is connected to the outside fabric for each piece. And this will make the process of connecting them all and finishing off the inside easier for myself. So now I have to go ahead and sew up the side seams and the shoulders. So one problem I've come into is actually this pattern tells you only to cut 2 hemo when you need actually 4. And I realized this when I was trying on the garment, because as I was tying, I was searching for those extra ties that I had never cut out. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some leftover material I have and cut those out. And now we get to a part of the garment that I personally found the most fun. And that is the band along the front of the garment. I had a lot of fun adding texture to it via straight lines and attaching it. Too long. So one of my biggest issues with this gi is that I am a very different shape than Japanese girls. So, and of course it's a Japanese garment, so they are structured in a way where they flatter more people of that culture's body type. So what's happening is I have very wide hips, but then when you get towards my chest, I get smaller because I'm a pear shape. So I have to go and sew up to this point to make the sleeve narrower, because this is the shape I actually want instead of a men's gi. And then I'm gonna have to sew a curve later on to get that shape that I need. So here's my point. Turning it inside out. And because my point's right there, I'm going to take a pencil and mark there. And then I'll sew up that seam to that point. And then do both sides. So already with raising up the arm, I'm getting a better fit. The pattern originally wanted me to do the sleeve this wide. However, I found that literally I'm basically cutting down to half and then curving this way. Except I have to curve this way and then go back in that direction to meet the point that will be my hip measurement, because again, I am a pear. So this is a sleeve, and I want to show you exactly what I've been doing. So what I'm doing is I'm folding over one side towards the seam after it had been sewn down, right sides together. Then I'm folding down the other, and then I'm pinning it. And to lock this seam, I will sew right here. Okay, so the ties are not in, but it is a much better shape now. Now to fix the hemo. So what's going on is the hemo is too wide, so to remedy this, I'm just going to fold it over and sew down. It's gonna make it pretty thick, but I just need a very quick solution to my problem. Because I followed the pattern too closely, I ended up making my gi too short for the Hakama, so I had to undo my hem and add a piece to the bottom. And this is the finished Keikogi. I'm so happy with the outcome of this piece. It was my first dive into sewing into this world, and I'm just falling in love with everything. I can't wait to show you next week's video with the Hakama. Although I love the gi, I think the Hakama is the best piece I've made so far. Thank you for watching this episode of my Kyoshi Warrior cosplay. Leave a like and subscribe if you are so inclined, and I can't wait to show you the Hakama next week. God bless! Hey, Bubba. Oh, no, you're not sitting on my lap. Hello everyone, my name is Karina. I go by Cardsi on social media, and today's video is the Pedro Kyoshi Warrior uniform. That's kendo, and then there is also cute.
In American English, Kudo. Kudo.
Kudo?
How much fan fiction have you read that you know this?
Not very much at all.
Oh wow. So you think you, the person who's not read very much at all fan fiction, is better than the people who literally read fan fiction 24/7? Surely you know more about this.
Actually, I've given it up, but yeah.
I know that you
Okay, listen. You're not gonna take the advice of someone who's obsessed with something. You're not gonna take the recommendation.
I'm not
You're not gonna
obsessed.
take their
I'm just kidding.
assessment.
The point isn't that I'm obsessed. The point is that it's both fair and needless and
Nothing happened.
So. Do you think you could kill someone with a sewing needle if you